Trump dead, just 2 words, yet enough to send shockwaves across the internet. In today's digital age, where every notification feels like breaking news, those words hit timelines like a lightning strike. Was it real? Was the former president of the United States truly gone, or was it just another baseless rumor swirling through the chaos of social media? The truth didn't matter in those first few minutes. What mattered was speed. Within seconds of the rumor surfacing, Twitter feeds lit up, TikToks started trending, and YouTube Shorts appeared with dramatic music and bold headlines. Screens across America, even around the world, flashed with speculation, and just like that, the whisper of Trump dead became a global conversation. This is the power of the digital era. A single post, typed in haste or mischief, can create a narrative strong enough to rattle millions. 20 years ago, a rumor like this would have taken hours, maybe days to spread. Today, it takes seconds. One screenshot, one viral hashtag, and suddenly half the internet is talking about it. But how did this rumor catch fire so quickly? It began, as most digital wildfires do, with an unverified post. Someone claimed breaking: Donald Trump has been found dead. The post wasn't from a verified news outlet. There was no source, no evidence, just words on a screen. Yet in an age where people crave instant updates, many took it at face value. Fear, shock, and curiosity did the rest. Then came the amplification. Influencers with massive followings shared the rumor, sometimes adding dramatic reactions like, "If this is true, it changes everything." Others created TikTok videos with sad music, candlelight edits, and Trump's old speeches playing in the background. These weren't confirmations, but they felt real enough to convince viewers. The rumor spread like wildfire, not because it was true, but because it was dramatic. This is where social media shows its double-edged power. On one hand, platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube give everyday people a voice. On the other, they turn speculation into breaking news within minutes. The algorithms are designed to push whatever is trending, regardless of whether it's true. Outrage, shock, and emotion drive clicks on Trump dead was the perfect storm. Millions clicked, millions shared, millions believed. It's not surprising, really. Rumors about political figures, especially ones as polarizing as Donald Trump, spread faster than almost anything else. Supporters and critics alike rushed to react. Some mourned, some mocked, others demanded confirmation from real media outlets. And while traditional journalists scrambled to fact-check, the internet had already made up its mind. Something big had happened, even if no one knew for sure what that something was. Think about it. When you see a headline like Trump dead on your feed, do you stop and investigate, or do you share it, comment on it, and join the conversation? Most people don't. Wait. They react first, verify later if at all. That's human nature in the age of instant information. But what does this say about us? It reveals how fragile truth has become in the digital era. We no longer wait for evidence. We no longer rely on credible sources. Instead, we live in a world where narratives are built in real time, shaped by tweets, edits, and hashtags. A world where perception often matters more than reality. And this is where the story of Trump dead becomes much bigger than just a rumor. It's not only about one man, one politician, or one headline. It's about the systems we've created, platforms that thrive on speed, outrage, and virality, even if it means bending or breaking the truth. So before we dive deeper, we need to ask, How did a baseless whisper turn into a trending topic powerful enough to fool millions? Who benefits from such chaos? And why do we, as a society, keep falling for it? Because this story is not just about Donald Trump. It's about all of us. Asterisk, the rumor didn't begin in a courtroom, a hospital, or even on a news broadcast. It began exactly where so many modern breaking stories do online. One anonymous account, with barely a few hundred followers, typed out a shocking sentence. Donald Trump has collapsed and is confirmed dead. No source, no photos, no evidence, just words flung into the digital universe. But those words were enough to light the fuse. Within minutes, replies started pouring in. Some people questioned it, asking, "Where's the proof?" Others didn't wait for answers, they simply hit retweet. And in today's internet ecosystem, that's all it takes. A handful of shares can quickly spiral into a trending topic. Soon, hashtags like #TrumpDead and #BreakingNews appeared in feeds across the globe, spreading faster than wildfire. But the rumor didn't stop at a single tweet. Almost instantly, TikTok creators jumped on the trend. Dramatic clips appeared, black canned white photos of Trump, funeral music layered in the background, captions like "Rest in Peace 1946 to 2024. These short, emotional edits looked convincing, especially to casual viewers scrolling late at night. Many didn't stop to check if CNN, Fox News, or any other major outlet had confirmed the story. They saw the edit, felt the emotion, and believed. And then came the receipts. Fake screenshots of CNN and BBC headlines circulated across WhatsApp groups, Facebook feeds, and Instagram stories. The designs looked professional. The fonts matched. To the average eye, they seemed legitimate. But a closer look revealed small errors, misspelled words, watermarks cropped awkwardly, or timestamps that didn't align. Still, most people never paused long enough to notice. The rumor had become a self-sustaining machine, feeding on shock, confusion, and speed. This wasn't the first time the internet had declared someone dead before their time. In fact, death hoaxes have become almost a dark tradition in online culture. Morgan Freeman has been declared dead multiple times by fake outlets, sparking waves of mourning on social media only for him to appear in interviews days later, very much alive. Tom Hanks, Jackie Chan, Britney Spears, even Pope Francis at one point or another. Each has been the subject of viral hoaxes, claiming their sudden death. So why do people keep falling for these stories? The answer lies in psychology. Human beings are hardwired to pay attention to shocking news, especially when it involves public figures. A sudden death feels monumental, dramatic, something that demands attention. Our brains react with urgency. This is important. Share it now. Verification often takes a back seat because, in that moment, emotion overrides logic. Social media platforms amplify this effect. Algorithms don't reward accuracy, they reward engagement. A shocking headline, like "Trump dead," is practically built to go viral. It's short, dramatic, and emotionally charged. Even if you don't believe it, you might still share it, with a comment like, "Is this true?" unknowingly fueling the spread. And then there's the issue of repetition. The more often people see a claim, the more likely they are to believe it. Psychologists call this the illusory truth effect. When your feed is flooded with TikToks, tweets, and screenshots all echoing the same claim, your brain starts treating repetition as evidence. Everyone's saying it, so it must be true. The Trump rumor followed this exact playbook, a shocking claim with no evidence, rapid reposting across multiple platforms, emotional edits, and fake screenshots that looked convincing. Millions of people hooked before facts could catch up. By the time major news outlets issued statements confirming that Donald Trump was alive and well, the damage had already been done. For hours, millions had lived in an alternate reality, convinced history had just shifted. Some were relieved to find out it was false. Others were angry, feeling manipulated by the chaos. But the fact remains, the hoax had worked. This raises an unsettling truth about our digital world. Reality no longer unfolds in one version. Instead, we live in competing realities. What's true, what feels true, and what people want to believe. In this case, the Trump dead hoax proved how easily perception can overpower fact. And while it may be tempting to dismiss this as just another internet joke gone too far, the stakes are much higher when the subject is a former president. This wasn't just a celebrity prank. It was a test of how fragile truth has become, how quickly misinformation can destabilize public discourse. So the question isn't just where the rumor began. It's also why so many of us were ready to believe it without proof. And to answer that, we need to explore not just the platforms, but the people, why rumors about powerful figures hit us differently, and what this says about the deeper divisions in our society. That's exactly where we'll go next, into the psychology of belief, politics, and why Trump himself is such a lightning rod for misinformation. When the rumor of Trump dead began to dominate social feeds, mainstream media found itself in an awkward but familiar position, playing catch-up. Unlike the internet, where speculation spreads unchecked, traditional outlets operate under the burden of proof. They couldn't simply post a denial without first verifying the facts. But in the fast-moving world of Twitter threads and TikTok edits, minutes feel like hours, and hours feel like a lifetime. Still, they had to respond. CNN was among the first major networks to issue a statement. Reports circulating online regarding the death of former President Donald Trump are false and baseless. Within minutes, Fox News and Reuters followed, releasing nearly identical denials. The Associated Press added its own clarifying piece, stressing that no medical emergency or fatal incident involving Trump had taken place. Yet, for millions of people already immersed in the rumor, these statements sounded more like damage control than reassurance. The irony was striking. While mainstream outlets carefully chose their words to emphasize accuracy, the rumor mill had no such restraint. Fake screenshots of CNN breaking news claiming Trump had died continued to flood feeds, often appearing alongside the very statements denying them. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Chaos versus clarity, spectacle versus truth. This is where fact-checkers stepped into the spotlight. Organizations like Snopes, PolitiFact, and AP Fact-Check scrambled to trace the origins of the claim. They sifted through viral posts, identified the first anonymous accounts to publish the rumor, and flagged the fake CNN graphics as manipulated images. Their reports explained not only that Trump was alive, but also how the hoax had been engineered. But here's the uncomfortable truth. By the time these fact-checks appeared, the lie had already traveled the world. Millions had seen it, reacted to it, and in many cases, formed emotional conclusions. Corrections rarely go as viral as the original claim. A TikTok edit with millions of views leaves a far deeper impression than a quiet article on Snopes explaining why the edit is fake. That's the fundamental imbalance of the internet age. Lies sprint, truth crawls, and it's not just about speed. Falsehoods are often more entertaining than the truth. A headline like "Trump dead" packs shock value, while a correction like "Trump alive and well" feels dull, almost unnecessary. People are drawn to drama, not debunkings. This dynamic makes the job of fact-checkers incredibly difficult. They aren't just battling misinformation, they're fighting human nature. Independent journalists also played a key role during this episode. On platforms like Substack and YouTube, commentators dissected the hoax in real time, pointing out inconsistencies and urging their audiences to wait for credible reports. Some even live-streamed their fact-checking process, pulling up news sites on screen and showing viewers the lack of official confirmation. These voices offered a valuable counterweight to the chaos, but their reach was limited compared to the viral storm of TikTok edits and fake headlines. For the average person scrolling their phone that day, the timeline looked like this: initial shock, a tweet or TikTok declaring Trump dead; amplification, dozens of similar posts, memes, and fake screenshots reinforcing the claim; correction, a statement from CNN or Reuters, often buried beneath the noise; aftermath, confusion. Some believed the denials, others clung to the rumor, and many simply moved on without caring what was true. This sequence exposes a painful reality. Truth is not just about evidence anymore, it's about visibility. And in the crowded digital marketplace, falsehoods often shine brighter than facts. Mainstream media outlets, despite their resources, can't compete with the raw virality of social platforms. Fact-checkers, despite their dedication, rarely reach the same audience as influencers with flashy edits. Even when the truth is clear, it often arrives too late to erase the emotional imprint of the lie. And so, the Trump dead hoax became a case study in modern misinformation. It revealed the limits of traditional journalism in a digital-first world, the uphill battle of fact-checkers, and the dangerous speed at which falsehoods can destabilize public perception. But perhaps the most important question is this: what does it mean when millions are willing to believe a hoax before hearing the facts? What does this say about our trust in media, our relationship with politics, and our own appetite for drama? Why did millions of people, even otherwise rational ones, believe the Trump dead rumor so quickly? The answer lies less in politics and more in human psychology. Humans have always been drawn to dramatic stories. For thousands of years, shocking news, whether it was the death of a king, the fall of a city, or a sudden disaster, was information that could change lives. Our brains evolved to prioritize drama because, in earlier eras, survival often depended on it. In today's world, the survival stakes are gone, but the instinct remains. A headline like "Donald Trump dead" pushes the same psychological buttons as news of a tribal leader's death would have millennia ago. It's urgent, it's dramatic, and it demands immediate attention. People don't pause to verify, they react, but this instinct doesn't operate in a vacuum. In the United States, Donald Trump is not just a political figure, he's a symbol, a lightning rod of division. To his supporters, he represents strength, resilience, and the fight against a hostile establishment. To his critics, he embodies corruption, chaos, and authoritarianism. In such a polarized landscape, a rumor about Trump's death doesn't land as neutral information. It lands as fuel for deeply entrenched emotions. For Trump supporters, the rumor triggered instant fear and anxiety. Many rushed to social media to ask, "Is this true? What's happening?" Others speculated wildly, suggesting shadowy plots or health cover-ups. Panic spread because the possibility of losing Trump felt like losing their movement itself. His political identity is so intertwined with their own that his rumored death created a sense of personal threat. On the other side, Trump's critics reacted very differently. Some shared the rumor gleefully, almost celebrating the idea before verifying its truth. For them, the claim represented wish fulfillment of fantasy that the political figure they despise had finally exited the stage. Even when evidence to the contrary appeared, some clung to the rumor because it aligned with what they wanted to believe. This emotional polarization is exactly what makes rumors so powerful online. Social media platforms aren't neutral bulletin boards. They're engineered systems designed to maximize engagement. And what generates the most engagement? Outrage, fear, and joy. Algorithms detect which posts trigger the strongest emotional reactions and then amplify them to larger audiences. The Trump rumor had all the right ingredients: shock value, political relevance, and divisive emotional responses. Think of it like fuel and fire. Human psychology is the fuel, our tendency to believe dramatic news, to cling to stories that confirm our worldview, to react emotionally before thinking rationally. Social media algorithms are the fire, spreading their fuel as quickly and widely as possible, ensuring that millions are exposed before the first fact-check even surfaces. The result is not just confusion, but deep emotional manipulation. Some people spent hours genuinely fearing that Trump had died. Others wasted energy celebrating something that wasn't real. And when the truth emerged, both sides were left with a bitter aftertaste. Supporters felt attacked, as though their leader had been targeted with malicious rumors. Critics felt disappointed, or even resentful, that the story turned out false. This emotional whiplash leaves lasting scars. Each time a hoax like this spreads, it deepens distrust both in media and in each other. Supporters may feel the mainstream press is covering up the real story, while critics may accuse fact-checkers of protecting Trump. The hoax doesn't just misinform, it divides. It keeps Americans locked in a cycle where truth matters less than emotional satisfaction. Psychologists call this the confirmation bias effect. We're more likely to believe information that aligns with what we already feel or believe, and more likely to dismiss anything that challenges it. Combine confirmation bias with political polarization and algorithm-driven amplification, and you get the perfect storm for viral misinformation. In the end, the Trump death hoax was never just about whether one man was alive or dead. It was about how humans process shocking information, how polarized politics magnifies every rumor, and how social media profits from emotional manipulation. Millions weren't simply misled, they were played. Their fears, hopes, and hatreds became the raw material for engagement, clicks, and ad revenue. And that's the real danger. Because if people can be so easily swayed by a single unverified rumor, what happens when the stakes are higher? What happens when the next hoax isn't about Trump, but about an election result, a military strike, or a public health crisis? These questions bring us to the heart of the matter. The Trump dead rumor wasn't just an isolated prank. It was a glimpse into how fragile our information ecosystem has become, how easily public opinion can be shaped by lies. The Trump dead rumor wasn't just about Donald Trump. It was about us, our society, our habits, and our collective vulnerability to misinformation. This single false story revealed a bigger, scarier truth. We live in an age where lies don't just spread, they dominate. And unless we learn how to fight back, the consequences could shake the very foundations of democracy, security, and trust itself. Let's start with the most important question. What if the next rumor isn't about a celebrity or politician's death, but something with higher stakes? Imagine a false headline claiming that a stock market crash is underway. In minutes, panic selling could wipe out billions of dollars, destroying investments and retirement savings. Or picture a fake report suggesting that a foreign power launched a missile strike. Before fact-checkers even react, governments could be scrambling, alliances tested, and military tensions triggered. This isn't science fiction. We've already seen glimpses of it. In 2013, a single hacked tweet from the Associated Press claimed that the White House had been attacked. Within minutes, the US stock market lost over $130 billion in value. The tweet was false, but the damage was real. That's the danger of misinformation in our interconnected world when the story moves faster than the truth. Chaos fills the gap. The Trump death hoax is another reminder that digital platforms are both powerful and fragile. They connect billions of people instantly, but they also create the perfect environment for manipulation. The platforms are designed to prioritize engagement, not accuracy. A dramatic lie is more engaging than a calm truth, so the algorithms push the lie further, faster. By the time the truth limps into the spotlight, the damage is already done. But here's the critical point. Misinformation only thrives if we allow it to. That's where digital literacy comes in. Every person who consumes news online has a responsibility to pause, verify, and think before hitting the share button. It sounds simple, but in practice, it requires discipline. In the heat of the moment, when emotions are high, it's tempting to react first and reflect later. That's exactly what misinformation feeds on. For audiences, the takeaway is clear. Don't become a pawn in someone else's viral game. Learn to ask basic questions. Who's the source? Is it confirmed by credible outlets? Does it sound too dramatic to be true? A 2-minute pause before reposting could stop a lie from reaching thousands. Multiply that by millions of people, and suddenly, misinformation loses its momentum. But the responsibility doesn't stop with the public. Journalists, content creators, and influencers also carry enormous weight in this battle. A single tweet from a verified account or a video from a trusted creator can validate a hoax in the eyes of thousands. That's why ethical reporting and relentless fact-checking are more important than ever. Being first should never outweigh being accurate. Behind every headline are millions of minds waiting to be influenced, and with influence comes responsibility. At the same time, technology companies cannot escape accountability. Social media platforms have the tools and algorithms to spot suspicious trends in real time. They already do it for spam and advertising fraud. Why not for misinformation that could destabilize societies? If a fake rumor about Trump can reach millions in minutes, then platforms have a duty to intervene just as quickly, providing fact checks, labels, or throttling false content before it spirals out of control. Yet, even with better tech, even with responsible journalism, the ultimate safeguard lies within us, the people. Because, at the end of the day, misinformation is not just a tech problem, it's a human problem. Lies spread because we want them to spread. We share them because they validate our feelings, or they entertain us, or they spark outrage. If we can change that behavior, even a little, the ripple effects would be enormous. So what does the Trump dead hoax really teach us? It teaches us that truth is fragile, and that democracy, security, and public trust all depend on how we handle information. It teaches us that while technology accelerates rumors, human choices determine whether they survive. And most importantly, it teaches us that digital responsibility is no longer optionally, it's a civic duty. The next time a shocking rumor flashes across your screen, remember, you have power. Power to pause. Power to verify. Power to protect not just your own understanding, but the collective trust we all rely on. If we all take that responsibility seriously, maybe we can build a future where truth has a fighting chance. And that's why this conversation matters. Because in the end, it's not just about Trump, or one rumor, or one news cycle. It's about the world we're building for tomorrow. Do we want a society where lies dictate reality, or one where truth still stands? The choice is ours.